So today, we'll focus on real recognition as a reward and the role social business software can play. First up, safely from Canada's southernmost point, is Roy Saunderson. Roy is president and founder of the Recognition Management Institute, a consulting and training firm specializing in helping companies get recognition right. Roy has presented and consulted to leading organizations throughout North America and Europe, including AEP, Bell Canada, Boeing, Credit Suisse, Disney, Health Canada, 3M Canada, and the Treasury Board. His focus on showing leaders how to give real recognition to create positive relationships, better workplaces, and real results. In his remarks today, Roy will talk about the fact that the words rewards and recognition get used so interchangeably that most people blur them together to mean the same thing. But there is a difference. To paraphrase Marshall McLuhan, the reward is the recognition for getting the results we want. Roy will take a quick look at those subtle differences so we can better understand how rewards and recognition can play a vital role with employee engagement. I think you'll also discover some key factors for how you can truly earn the right to gain discretionary effort from your employees. And with that, Roy, welcome.
Thank you very much, David. Appreciate being with you.
Roy, in my introduction, I talked about how it appears that the things that motivate individuals to go the extra mile today appear to have changed actually very little from the last 100 years. Can you comment just briefly on how powerful these intrinsic factors like personal growth and common purpose are to real recognition programs?
Absolutely, David. You're right. The irony is that the research has for years indicated that the need, and as William James once said, the craving to be appreciated is one of the most innate needs that we all have. Mm-hmm. And while individuals will vary on the level of need, even the highest potential employees will have a craving and a desire for some form of acknowledgement. And this has been, I think, the problem where people have misunderstood what people want and what we think they want.
Mm-hmm. Well, why don't I get out of the way and let you get right to what you'd like to share with us today?
Sure. Well, maybe we just go to the first slide there. And as you see here, I've said we're talking about rewards, and I liked the introduction that you gave, David, where you said the reward is the recognition from Marshall McLuhan. And I think when we think about rewards, we are really talking about something that is tangible. It's often very impersonal in its delivery. And if we were to look at the dichotomy between rewards and recognition, the compensation and benefits industry has used a term that they use as total rewards. And when they're talking about total rewards, they're using everything from compensation, benefits, bonuses, the rewards and incentives that can often be given for various performance and sales items and things like this. And then if we were to really look at that, we would see that most of those items have very little personal interaction. Mm-hmm. They are a part of the transaction. They are expected that if you do a certain behavior, a certain action, a certain performance, you will get this. Mm-hmm. So it's a if you do this, you will get that. And that is the very tangible side around rewards. And I remember one organization I went into, a healthcare organization, and they brought me in because the recognition was low on the engagement survey that they had done. And yet in reality, because there was such a cash-based focus within the various reward levels that they used, the employees could not differentiate that they were actually getting recognized. The employer thought they were giving recognition. It was a bronze, silver, or gold level for various degrees of performance. But in the employee's eyes, they were being rewarded, and they knew it. But there was no true acknowledgement for the contribution. It was purely an exchange. I did this, so therefore I get my money.
Gotcha.
So when you look at rewards in that way, I think it's good to maybe just move on to the recognition piece of the equation.
Sure.
And when I'm looking at recognition, and while I got the old smiley face there, it just something that I thought, recognition is seen as something soft, mm-hmm. Rather than a hard, tangible. And in reality, recognition is mostly, for the most part, an intangible action. Mm-hmm. It is very personal on the delivery. Mm-hmm. And so here you're looking at the acts of recognition, the verbal praise, some form of appreciation. Yes, there can be some low-cost items that are given, but broadly we can say that recognition is mostly on the intangible side. And I think this is where I've seen that there's this disconnect. And I want to acknowledge that really an organization shouldn't have just, say, a total rewards program. They should have a total rewards and recognition kinds of programs. You need both. If all you get is rewards, you almost reinforce an entitlement mentality that the only game in town is to receive something tangible.
Right.
If you only have recognition where I'm praised and acknowledged and that's the only thing I'm receiving, people are going to say, where's the pay or where's the advancement in some shape or form? And so I think it's very important to have a balanced approach, a strategic approach even, towards rewards and recognition.
Well, I think that's a great point. It was going to be one of my questions. I was going to ask whether, really there was a balance at play between rewards and recognition, or were we saying that, president's clubs and iPods are out and peer-to-peer is in, but you're suggesting a balance is critical.
Very much so. In fact, what I usually tell organizations to do is first you have to focus on your people. Because when we're looking at recognition, we're talking about people. When we're talking about rewards, we're talking about the more performance aspect. We're talking about the employment contract of exchanging of goods and services and time and effort in lieu of pay or some other kind of bonus system. So you need the strategic approach where you focus on the people, you look at the principles that drive acknowledgement. You might have to say, what are the practices that we need to instill? And then you look at programs. And programs then become a tool to help managers practice the art and science of giving recognition.
Well put.
So let's move on to the next slide. And there's just one more transition there to help out there. When I went into organizations, David, what I found was that, I think in the beginning I thought I was going to go in, find all the organizations that were low morale, probably didn't have any recognition programs in, and I'd save the world and turn every company around.
Yeah.
They never hired me. What I found was that companies that needed help were the ones that were already doing recognition. But the irony was there was something missing. And so when I went into these organizations who sincerely wanted to improve their recognition efforts, I went in and I saw that most organizations were set up, they were very performance driven. If anything, they were almost too much on that reward spectrum. And so they had what I would call regular recognition because it was high in performance. Those companies that got it, those companies that connected with their employees, those engagement surveys that came out where employees were actually indicating that they felt recognized, that was what I coined as being real recognition.
Great.
Because it was both performance-based and also it acknowledged the feelings of the individuals. The irony is on most engagement or satisfaction surveys, companies will ask the question of their employees, do you feel recognized for the contributions you've made to the organization? So they ask the feel word, but they always get a little squirmy when you maybe focus on something that they consider to be touchy-feely.
Right.
The interesting thing is that employees really do want the feelings. They want to know that they have been acknowledged to the point of an emotional level where they do feel recognized. And that requires individuals, managers, to be sincere and authentic with what they're doing, expressing that communication of recognition, perhaps along with any tangible that might be given as appropriate.